actually, the Valorant one. Yeah, we could talk about the Stewie2 Valorant. Because all I have to say is this, guys.
I think he's doing... Dude, I think this is EG's way of covering their bets on this whole...
It has to be, because, dude, he did that tweet. I'm trying to find it now. He did a tweet that was in, like, April, Semmler. Look, I'm going to look it up. It was only in April. It was that tweet about how he's not quitting. Look, I'm going to read it out now. The tweet says, rock bottom is rock bottom. Like, all right, fucking The Rock. Anyway, rock bottom is rock bottom. Those who think I'm quitting, you don't know me. Keep yapping all that shit and laughing. I'll get the last laugh, don't you worry. So let's just revisit this tweet, fans, right? Rock bottom is rock bottom. Nah. You don't even know what rock bottom yet is. April 15th, Stewie2k. Just wait a few months. Wait till that Starbucks story hits home me. That'll be close to rock bottom. Mate, you've been rock bottom so much. I'm about to take off some fucking massive shades and show you the people's eyebrow, you cunt. So anyway, then it goes, those who think I'm quitting, you don't know me. I'd like to take you in a fucking DeLorean, 88 gigawatts of power, and go into the future and just show you quitting and being a Valorant streamer, like fucking checks notes like 3 months later or something, you idiot. And then he puts that one, he goes, keep yapping all that shit. Right, first of all, that's not how an ampersand's used. I know you obviously don't read and write, you're like functionally illiterate apparently, but fucking hell, mate. And then all that keep chatting all that shit, like you play like shit and you fucking, now you have to warn me a streamer. And then that last line, I love it because it's so arrogant. It's like, I'll get the last laugh, don't you worry. Winky. Well, you know what, mate? I don't think you did get the last laugh. You got us the last dick for your fucking boss before he goes, right, no more streaming. Because if you don't know, Semmler, here's the part about this that's really sick. All the CSGO fans have got this story wrong. They all think Valorant, like I told you, is what Valorant was 2 years ago. They think, oh, well, of course, Stewie's going to go over there and be a superstar and a huge name. And he used to be a massive name in CS. Valorant is mega competitive, guys. Like, that ship sailed. Even if he joined a team as a pro, he wouldn't be a top player. And from games I've heard, people say he's not even that good at Valorant. So I don't think he's going to be some enormous figure. Like, was he even that big as a CSGO streamer? I don't know how big his stream was, mate. It wasn't like a Hiko, was he? So as far as I know, I don't know that it's going to be that big a deal. I think what you're saying is what it is. You know when I said earlier how when you do that deal with Tabson in Big, if it's 5 or 4 years, you don't really mean he has to play 4 years. You mean you're just in the org for 4 years. I think that's what they're doing with Stewie2k here, Semmler. What they're doing is we've signed a stupid contract where the rumour is he's on guaranteed money and he's making more money than God to be in this terrible team. So you know what? We're not just going to sit him on the bench and do nothing with him like fucking Device style. What we're going to do is we're going to make this guy work. So all we can do at the moment, we've got no fucking popularity, is just go and stream Valorant, get our name out there in Valorant. That's all. It's something. It's a way of using him for something, right?
How many? Yeah, that's actually a really good question. Now that we think about it, I didn't even think to check. How many followers does he have on?
To me, I know he streamed a long time. Obviously, it's how he even became a pro.
1 million followers on Twitch.
Is that crazy? Isn't that like kind of normal for people, someone as big as him?
Someone as big as him, yeah. I mean, yeah, exactly. I mean, nobody's gonna. Tarek is the obvious one who just fucking utterly destroyed the transition and just nailed it, and he's crushing it now into Valorant, right? So he really knew his timing when to go for it. I don't know if Stu has that kind of pull or not. I mean, I think this kind of comes back onto that point that I keep making, in that you either have to be fully in on the content side of things as an org, or you have to be fully in on winning tournaments. There's no in between, and so this to me is kind of like EG are still trying to figure it out, where they've got their 15-man roster and they are making plays, funnily enough, but this is a way of like hedging their bets in a sense, where it's like while they're figuring out the 15-man roster, and if that's even going to be a thing that can do anything, they have Stewie streaming, and he's going to be a means for them to sell sponsorship, because if he's at least getting a few thousand viewers, then that's just a way for them to sell sponsorship, and it's a way to actually recoup at least a little bit on his, I'm sure, what must be a ridiculously large contract. So if you had 9K plus viewers, I mean, that's still decent as far as streaming is concerned. Like that's still solid. So I think EG can work with that, with something like that. It's not the end of the world. It's just a shame to see that rather than be able to transition into an international roster or stay kicking on the roster itself, on the EG roster itself, it's just like, no, taking a full step back and just thinking maybe it's opportunity cost, right? He's just like, or I stream. If I'm getting 9,000 viewers, I stream, and I'm getting more of a return on that than I am if I'm playing on some random EG team trying to build up the next generation of NA Pro.
I've also got a take on this I've never shared on this show, which is I also think people have completely mischaracterized who Stewie is as a person in the game of CS, like who he is as a teammate, a leader, player, etc. Because think about his career. His career has worked best, Semmler, when he is like a role player typically who's added to an already existing team. So like MIBR was all right, wasn't great. Cloud9 itself, that was probably the only one that was different, where it was a terrible team and they blew it up. He came in, he was like the star briefly, but that was at a lower level. And then obviously later on, Team Liquid, he was the last piece to join, already the number 2 team in the world, and just helped them go one level higher. After that, I would say most of the teams were a bit dodgy. I would say if you look at this guy's career, the area that has been a complete misnomer, in my opinion, is because he's an aggressive player and he likes to sort of like be decisive and make big balls plays and fire people up. People make it sound like he's the perfect teammate. It seems to me, if you look at his teams, when they go off the boil, when he's been in the team a while, it seems like he becomes, I wouldn't say like a negative because I'm not in the team, but like, I think eventually it becomes like an issue to balance out his personality. Because the problem is this, when you're like, I just want to win, I'm driven, I'm good. The problem with that is you can also be a whiner. You can also be someone who's like disruptive to the communication process, or you have arguments with people like this when it's not working out, your frustrations come out. So I also think there's a world in which, unfortunately, I don't necessarily know that he's like the first piece you keep and then you build another team around him. Like, I think he could definitely play CS again. Like, you could take a bunch of those call players and take like 1 or 2 of these EG players and make a lineup together and see what's like. There's still things you could do in NA. He could still be a tier 1 player. My problem is this: I actually get the vibe he gets a bit emo when his teams go badly, though. Semmler, like I saw at the end of MIBR at the events what he was like. He looked emo as fuck, like he was isolated from the group. That's why they got Taric. Then I saw at the Team Liquid period all those problems he was having with Fallen and Moses and Twists. Then now we see in EG the issues. So I also think that's part of it, Semmler. I don't think he's someone who necessarily plays well with others always. Like, you have to have the right project. So I would imagine he might be bombed out by this last period. Like, if you look at that tweet I've just said there, the guy who makes that tweet, Semmler, doesn't become a Valorant streamer tomorrow. That's what's happened to him in these last 3 or 4 months. He's gone through all this scrutiny and all this public professional failure. And the one thing I want to say at the end is this: look, as far as I can tell, some of these things are his fault, but they're not solely his fault. That's what I hate about this whole move. Right. Is people act like it's a 1v1 sport and he just lost all these games. No, don't worry, all those other people in EG sucked as well. Some of those other people in EG didn't do a great job. Some of those people in EG didn't fucking bond with their coach and listen to what he was saying and make a great project. So like, it isn't just him, and he wasn't just the thing that ruined Cloud9 and MIBR and Team Liquid. Like, he might have had his part to play, but it's never just one player, guys. There's almost always like a bunch of players have issues, a bunch of issues combine. Maybe this is the like one that sticks out and just looked obvious to EG, but I think there were way bigger problems than just Stewie2k, in my opinion.
So hold on, because this is I was trying to figure it out the other day because I was thinking about this. To me, my if I go career wide for Stewie, for whatever reason, I have this niggling memory, and it's that I feel like he got robbed at the beginning. In that, remember when he joined Cloud9 at the beginning, it was like, oh, he's going to join Cloud9. This is going to be amazing. He's going to be able to be under the wing of like Sean Garris and all that, and he's going to learn how to play CS, because right now he's just aggro as fuck and he just jumps through smokes and that's his style. But he'll learn how to like, really figure out how to play tier 1 CS, and it'll bloom from there. And he joined that roster, and Sean Garris was gone, and nobody wanted to take over the leader role. And he eventually got forced into taking the leader role, it feels like, because nobody else wanted to. And so at least that's my recollection of that whole storyline, is that Stewie, in a way, kind of got fucked over in the past.
Basically, Semmler, I think he actually got fucked over in the same way Nico did.
And so he may have a chip on his shoulder
same
going
thing happened
forward.
to Nico. Remember in Mouse Sports, Nico only became IGL because they fired God B. And when they fired God B, there was no one else could be IGL, so Nico did it for the first year or so. Right. And I think, like Stewie2k, like what you're talking about, I do think that ruined these guys on some level. Because what it did was this, Semmler, the message that sent them from the game was this: look, you're really good, but the rest of the team's a mess, and if you don't sort of take over, then the team won't work. So they took over, and initially in both these squads, it took like tier 2 teams to like the borderline tier 1 level. Like, people don't know, Cloud9 was good in Stewie2k. They were winning like, didn't they win like fucking... they won Pro League. They had some decent runs. The problem was, he obviously wasn't a true IGL. And if you notice, just like Nico and Shocks and all the other ones that have done it Semmler, these guys kept trying to force being an IGL over and over in their career. So on some level, yeah, I'm sort of with you. I do think that actually it's maybe like his developmental process was a bit fucked up, because if instead you go the other way, if you just make him the super rookie. So imagine instead, if people don't know, when he came to Cloud9, that was like Bit coming in. That's like a guy who has no experience coming in, but hit the ground running, being really good. Yeah, he might be a totally different player now if he'd have had like Sean Gares into like, I don't know, you have to pick people he'd respect. So I don't know, like, I'm not going to pick Daps like Stanislaw or something. Like, these are the people he would have followed,
That's the kind of takeaway that I have from here, and that's actually, I really like that you managed to bring up Nico in that, because I feel like Nico kind of got treated the same way. But I'm being reminded as well, Kid Moyer really bang on point. He got, like, I just remember the whole attitude towards him from the community was that, oh, he's just this scrub who pushes smokes. He's just a
sure,
star.
yes.
You know, he's not that good actually. And then, you know, he goes on and actually shows that he is pretty good, but he did it in just the worst situation possible. Because imagine he could have come up under somebody's wing, a veteran that could have really shown him how the game is played and all that on a tier 1 level, international CS, you know, and then he'd had the time to really figure it out and get into the flow and all that. Instead, he just kind of got crowbarred into a team, and then he ended up taking on roles that he didn't necessarily want to, just because nobody else would. So if anything, I mean, Stu did a good job on that front, and who knows, after years of that, you know, like, what's that going to do to your head, and what's that going to do to your ability to relate to others, because you started off on the wrong foot, essentially. Almost, it's just this really weird.
You know, I've told the story in the past.
I don't throw under the bus completely.
No, exactly. That's my point. Yeah, exactly. Don't go too far. Don't think like he's the villain. We have to use him as scapegoat and get all our negative energy about CSGO out on Stewie2k. And then once he's dead and buried in Valorant, somehow we're all just going to be healed. And no, we're not. Like, we're actually going to lose a great player who accomplished some amazing things in his career. And they're not going to be replaced by someone else. They're going to be replaced by some random guy from Call you don't know, like some fucking name no one's heard of. No, the thing is, Semmler, I always used to make this point, because it's true, that back in the day, it was in 2017, there was a time period when I almost got Cloud9 to sign Hunden and Valde, because I told them, like, go international, you get all these players. Well, the joke is, if they'd have signed Hunden could have taken Stewie2k, and it could be like a recreation of that scene from The Lion King, couldn't it? You know, the opening, you know, the scene where basically Mufasa takes Simba out and shows him all the Pride lands. What happened is Hunden could have basically taken Stewie2k, they could have boosted up above the server, and he could go, look Stewie, one day, if you follow my lead, all of this will be yours, everything. You can see everything. You can see it all at this point in time. There you go. There's the analogy.
That's the perfect analogy. All right, moving on. I want to.
She made a point. It's just a random thing, but it's so true. Someone did just make a point. Imagine just saying to someone like, "Oh, why are you so sad?" My dad was just tragically murdered in a really horrific way, and the entire kingdom was taken over. Well, Hakuna Matata. No worries, right? Hey, cunt. Hey. It's like, what the fuck? That seems inappropriate, but, you know, like, when you make it like that, it sounds pretty heartless, doesn't it? Well, Hakuna Matata. Party on, bro. Hey, what's that, like, line of bugs or something? Fucking, what are you doing? Why are you partying? My dad's dead. And I think we should probably address this. Nah, fucking bro.
You gotta run away, man.
Have a fucking tinny
party all day,
bro. Party on, bro. You know, like, they're like those guys who go to the UFC or something. Like, hey, bro.
Just sing the song.
Want to see more cool, funny, interesting clips based on topics from my content? Well, subscribe to this channel then, or, you know, be a pleb and don't.